What's up, guys? So I'm gonna be doing my first impressions on Claymore, which is a manga series. And so I just read the first chapter. It was a long chapter, 63 pages, I believe. And so nothing more, nothing less. Those were the rules. So this will be my first impressions video on Claymore as a series based on just the first chapter. So first off, spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't read the series. But don't worry, I mean, it's just the first chapter anyways. I actually thought it was quite a decent first chapter for this manga. Apparently it's fairly popular of a series. Was it the best first chapter ever? No. Was it so great that it hooked me to read more? Not in the way that Toriko did, but I can't say that Toriko was that amazing either. So first off, I do have to give it some, what's the word, benefit of the doubt, because a lot of manga series, they started a long time ago, and if you compare the drawings and the dialogue and the plot and the drawings really, and you compare that to what it's doing now, they're like completely different things. Yu Yu Hakusho is a good example for sure, because I mean, from the beginning to the end, and then when you compare either the beginning or end to the anime series, it's like a completely different thing. And even Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Ball, the drawings weren't that great initially. So I mean, I feel like that's the way with Claymore. I mean, the drawings aren't horrible, but they're definitely not on like a Fairy Tail or One Piece level. I mean, that sure, One Piece and Fairy Tail have their own style, and Claymore does not have to fit that style in any way. But I mean, you can tell like the drawings aren't that, well drawn at times. They're a little, strange and weird and somewhat like rudimentary. But apart from that, let's look at the actual series as Toriko's another good example, by the way, of when you compare the current chapter with the first chapter, in terms of drawings. Anyhow, putting that aside, I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt. I'm giving people the benefit of the doubt, Claymore the benefit of the doubt. Let's look at the plot. I honestly very much like the premise. Where they will expand on this is dependent on the author, and this can turn out to be something great, something mediocre, or something pretty bad. Honestly, it really depends on the creativity of the author. Now, the first thing I really want, and if it doesn't happen, then this series, I mean, it could get pretty boring. The first thing I want, based on the first chapter, is for these monsters. I think they were called Yoma or something. I want these monsters to be expanded upon, because from the first chapter, it seems like these things are just pretty much like a zombie arc, except the zombies aren't really zombies. They're Yoma. They don't suck. Well, they do. They drink and drain blood, but they do it for food. And some of the a lot of the mystery has been cleared completely. So the Yomas have turned out to be very, they're intelligent, but their whole purpose is very simple. And that pretty much tells everyone, the readers, that they're just very simple villains. They do bad stuff, they're bad guys, and that's it. And that's a very simple premise for a villain, but it is the most easy to understand, because when you get those villains who may be good, may be bad, may be doing this for a greater cause that's good, it screws with your mind. And sometimes simpletons, when starting something, they want it to be simple. Oh, that guy's bad. He wants to do bad stuff just because he's a very simple character. And so then we got this Claymore, which is a name prescribed by the villagers to these characters who have voluntarily become half-breeds of the Yoma by drinking their blood and attaining some of their muscles, which I didn't really understand. I'm guessing they somehow graft it or genetically bind some of the Yoma muscle to their bodies as well. Basically, by becoming these half-breeds, they become strong enough to fight, detect, and kill these Yoma. And that's the whole premise, because these Yomas can conceal themselves as humans and retain the memories of the humans they take over and the behaviors too, to conceal themselves and constantly feast on these people without them ever being able to figure out who's the culprit. And so now you got these Claymore people. The organization and these people they're not actually called Claymores, but their goal is to kill these guys. And I actually thought it's a decent premise, honestly, but it reminds me of D. Grayman in a way, in the fact that I was more than a little impatient with the progress. And if that's the case with Claymore, I mean, I may not be into it. Now, I'm sure this manga was set a long time ago when it didn't have that pressure to, grow so quickly. But I mean, at least with me, when I read D. Grayman, it was literally like, this is going really slow. He's not really gaining any abilities. He's not doing jack-ish. He's just, slowly going about, his journey and slowly defeating monsters. And I feel like if that's the next 10 chapters, next 50 chapters of Claymore, where it's very slow, this girl doesn't really gain or learn any new abilities or anything. She just swings about her axe and uses her eyes to somehow sniff out these monsters and kill them. That's going to be pretty dull. And sure, there may be a little bit of plot, new characters to spice it up, but in my opinion, if it's that slow, I would not be interested in Claymore. However, this was recommended to me, and so it may be good. I don't know. I don't know if I will pick it up given my time schedule. Honestly, especially based on what I have to give the honest truth. I think that's the better way, anyways. If there's a manga that jumps off the page, I'll tell you, but there's no point lying. So far the premise is decent, and then you got this young boy who's not afraid of this girl. Only girls can be Claymores because the men go mad when they try and absorb the blood. And so from what we see so far, my prediction is that this girl is normal, and everyone thinks she's, they're scared of her, and they think she's no longer human and this freak who doesn't think properly because she's become this half-breed. But I think she's perfectly fine. Maybe she has one of those Harry Potter Lupin werewolf moments where every blue moon she turns into this uncontrollable form, and then but she's able to contain it or something like that. And then this boy, I predict him to go on adventures with this girl. He's not afraid of him. He wants to go along with this guy, and I'm hoping maybe they'll spice it up by making him the first guy who is able to become a Claymore as well. So this plot has potential, but it really depends on the creativity and the pace of the author to hook me and continue it. At this point right now, I mean, the fact that I'm making this video and not jumping onto chapter 2 tells me that the author has somewhere to go. Granted, Hunter x Hunter and some other manga were probably worse off than this in their first chapter or so. So most likely when I have time, I may read more Claymore, or I may pick up something else. Leave a comment letting me know your thoughts or your anime or manga recommendations. Top 5 manga. List them below. And so yeah, Claymore, decent so far, but really the potential is up to the author, because he could make this pure crap if it's something like, you know, those two go on adventures and she just swings about her sword chopping off people. It's stupid. She has to learn something, she has to learn abilities, something more amazing. Anyhow, I'm out. As always, like, favorite, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Peace.